And when we all met and started hanging out, we started really vibing with each other, choreographing with each other. They ended up moving to San Diego and being a part of Culture Shock with me. And during that time when we were a part of this group, Kevin and Joe wanted to form their own group. And at that time, it was like the music that they had made in the mix was very like nothing that I've ever heard before. And the name that they thought of was Jabbawockeez.
Now, unfortunately, as you guys are rising, you lose one of your brothers.
Yeah.
To meningitis.
The term meninges refers to three membranes that surround the brain and spinal cord: the dura mater, the arachnoid mater, and the pia mater. The meninges protect and provide structural support for the brain, as well as contain cerebrospinal fluid. Meningitis is an inflammation of the meninges. This inflammation is typically caused by an infection, although there are non-infectious causes of meningitis as well. A variety of pathogens can cause meningitis, but the most severe cases tend to involve bacterial infections.
I only kind of knew what that even was. You know what I'm saying? I knew it had something to do with the brain, but I was just like, I had to actually go look it up. Now he, from my research, seems like that he was the kind of like the visionary of what the Jabbawockeez would become. Like he saw it. I don't know if he was the first one in the group to see it,
Right.
but it seems like where you guys are now is exactly where he always thought you were going to.
Yeah, I gotta admit that,
No
because
doubt.
even though Kevin and Joe started the group, like it was really a group of friends that just wanted to dance together because we just vibed well together.
Right.
Just to do these performances. We knew that we were groundbreaking, but we didn't know where it could actually go, right? Gary was the one that was like, yo, we could shoot for the moon, man. He's like, you understand how special this group is? You don't understand. I've been around. I know how special this group is. He's like, you could have a show in Vegas. I remember him telling us that, and we were like, what the heck, He's like, and I remember him saying this, we could take over the world. And we were like,
you're like, this world?
like, you sure? So it was a trip because, and he was the one guy in the crew because he's a lot older than us. Mm-hmm. He was a lot more business minded and understood the industry more than any of us did in that time.
Right.
So I think if I was his age also, I would say the same thing because, he knew that what we had was something special because it was something that a lot of crews weren't doing. I remember one other person that would tell me that would be Po One. And at the time, Po One, he's one of my mentors that I learned from, that I really learned, how to understand this dance and foundation and the spirit behind, breaking and hip hop, as far as what we do. And he saw Jabbawockeez and he's like, yo, you guys got something special, man. And this is when Jabbawockeez wasn't really doing anything except for little showcases here and there. And he's like, your group got something special, man. He's like, I never seen it before. He's like, you guys could do something with it if you guys even wanted to. And at the time, we weren't even thinking that far. We were just like, yo, we were more of an underground group in the choreography scene because
just having fun, kids having fun.
Yeah, we actually didn't want people to know who we were.
Oh, wow.
We would actually change in the bathroom and come out just so people wouldn't know who the dancers are. Mm-hmm. Even though we had a dressing room, everybody
right.
At the time, people would be like, well, where are the Jabbawockeez at? Which one are they? You wouldn't know who we are. So there'd be times where I do a performance and then I'm in the audience right after and they're like, yo, did you see that group from Japan? And I'm like, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, that group from Japan was tight, because I didn't want them to know. It was like that Superman, mm-hmm. Type of feeling that you would have. So,
and it paid off.
Yeah, it paid off, man.
No doubt. Cause like, not to be out of pocket, but like what you guys did for that mask is like up there to me with what they did with the William Shatner mask to turn it into the Michael Myers.
During the production of John Carpenter's 1978 movie Halloween, 4 mask options were looked at for the killer Michael Myers. Clown mask,
Send in the clown.
Captain Kirk mask,
I'm Captain Kirk!
Mr. Spock mask,
Logical.
and Richard Nixon mask.
People have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Right.
Like, it was just a William Shatner mask, but you put a mystique behind it, you switch it up just a little bit, and I mean, now it's a worldwide thing. You guys took that white mask. Where did you guys even find the mask? Just at a Halloween store?
Bro, Party City.
Party City. You guys
You know what I
took
mean?
a part.
Like, here's a funny thing is that, like I told you before, the history of the mask was we had on ski masks before. Then we had, but we couldn't breathe out of it. So we ended up wearing these silver masks. But some people's faces were so big that it showed the chin. So at Party City, I remember I was like, these white masks would work because it covers the full face. So we started using that mask more often. And that mask before was like, what? $1.25, right?
It ain't no more.
As soon as we won the show, I remember because we were gonna go and perform at Grad Night in Florida, right? And we needed new masks. All of our masks were cracked. We didn't have new masks. And this is after the show. I went to Party City thinking I was only gonna spend $6 on the mask, maybe $8. They put up in Party City and in San Diego, Jabberwocky masks. $25.
So, oh my God. So they, as soon as the show said cut, they was like, oh snap, $25.
Yeah.
We said $1.25, but our $1.25 mask, $25.
Yeah, and you got to imagine at this time, like we had just got off the show, so we didn't make our own. Like now we make our own masks, right? But back then we didn't make our own masks, so I had to spend 25. I had to spend like I think $200. No, I had to spend $100 or 150 on freaking my own on the mask, right?
Respectfully, that store needs to find you and give you your refund, man. Come on, get that man his money back.
It's okay. That was in 2008, so they could keep
No
it,
doubt.
man.
No doubt.
But yeah, but when it comes to Gary too, I remember you were talking about him passing away from fungal meningitis. There's a bigger story between that, and it's a story that at the time we didn't want to let out because we didn't know if it was okay for us to put that business out there. But talking to his close friends and his family, it's only right that his story gets put out there, especially at this time where we're at. So Gary, it wasn't just fungal meningitis. It was actually he had HIV, which ended up turning into AIDS.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then through that, usually fungal meningitis can't necessarily kill you as bad, but because his blood level was low, as soon as he got fungal meningitis, it ended up was initially the cause of his death.
He couldn't fight it.
Yeah, he couldn't fight it because he didn't have enough blood cells to fight it.
Wow.
When people ask me now, he was homosexual.
Okay.
We all knew like he had his boyfriend in the Bay Area, and then he had and then they broke up. His boyfriend Ben, which he had a long relationship with, and from then he ended up having a boyfriend in Colorado, where he ended up moving to in Denver at the time. Like I said, in 2008, when we had found out, even though we wanted to tell this side of the story, during that time it was like, don't say that though. It might make you guys look bad. And we were like,
oh,
like why? How can that make us look bad?
Right. It's just showing that you guys are humans and you go through real things.
Right. But I think it just shows how ignorant and how people were at that time, especially in the industry, trying to having us hold back on someone's story like that. But at the same time too, we were also trying to respect the family. Which is the reason why we didn't want to say anything. Now it's we could talk about it. Gary, love the guy, man. He's definitely was a brother to me. Especially an older brother. He helped me out with a lot. From dance to understanding the industry to just being a big brother on all levels. So. When a lot of us knew, especially myself, knew that he had, had HIV, like by the time he was able to get treatment, it was pretty much too late, and that's the thing that I know I'm kind of going off topic, but
go off topic. It's okay.
especially a lot of our elders that we learned from, and that they try telling us all the time, man, take care of yourself, not just emotionally, but physically, financially, you know, because when Gary would tell me that, it didn't really click until he told me that he had HIV and he couldn't get health insurance.
Wow.
You know, and at the time, to even get medication for HIV was so much, you know, and so, you know, he probably didn't get medical insurance until, you know, he got to Colorado. And then by that time, it was just too late, you know? So I think like what I got out of that from talking to him and hearing that side of him and, you know, seeing that happen to him, you know, it kind of made me realize, all right, not even just in this type of world that we're in, you know, you have to be able to take care of yourself, you know?
And you know, keep in mind, this is happening in a first world country.
Exactly.
We're not in, you know, some third world country where it's like fend for yourself. This is happening in one of the richest countries in the world where people are dying because I can't get health insurance because we've made it into some kind of, you know, money grab industry.
Why is a free market so bad at controlling the cost of healthcare in the United States? If you look at the data on physician visits and hospital discharges, you can get rid of one theory. Americans don't consume more healthcare than people in these other countries. We don't go to the doctor more than the Germans or the Japanese. In fact, we go to the doctor less. The difference between us and them is that we pay more. Every time we go to the doctor for everything from an angioplasty to a hip replacement, from a C-section to a pain reliever, in America, the price for the same procedure at the same hospital, it varies enormously depending on who is footing the bill. The price for someone with public insurance, like Medicare or Medicaid, is often the lowest price. These groups, they cover so many people that the government can demand lower prices from hospitals and doctors, and they get those lower prices. If the doctors and hospitals say no, they lose a ton of business. They lose all those people on Medicare, all those people on Medicaid. But there are hundreds of private insurance companies, and they each cover far fewer people than a Medicare or a Medicaid. And each one has to negotiate prices with hospitals and doctors on their own. And if you're uninsured, you have even less leverage. Nobody is negotiating on your behalf, so you end up paying the highest price. One study found that most hospitals charge uninsured patients 4 times as much as Medicare patients for an ER visit. Other countries, they don't have this problem. Instead of every private insurance company negotiating with every healthcare provider, there's just this big list. Country, the central government, they go and they say, if you want to sell to us, to all of our people, then here's what you can charge for a checkup. Here's what you can charge for an MRI or a prescription for Lipitor. And so then whether that bill goes to the heavily regulated private insurance companies in Germany or directly to the government like in the UK, each country is telling the doctor or hospital or drug company how much that bill will be. And because the government controls access to all of the customers, it's an offer that hospitals and doctors and pharmaceutical companies typically can't refuse.
Our health is just a dollar sign to some company. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. And I think that's the reason why even within this company with Jabbawockeez, like we try to make sure that whoever's employed with us, you know, that they're taken care of in that way. You know, it's not just your under the table dollar that you're making, you know. You know, you're taken care of through your health insurance, your families can be taken care of. You know, we really try to make sure that that's enforced within the company and within anybody who works with us, right? Only because of what we know that happened to G, but happened to Gary too, you know. But yeah, man, I love and miss that guy, man. We all do. You know, he was definitely, you know, he may not have been the person that started the group, but he was definitely a huge inspiration for how we were able to be at a level and be able to move forward within this company, you know.
Man, thanks for sharing that, man. I know that's not, you know, the easiest things to talk about when you lose somebody so close to you know what I'm saying?
Sure, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. But at the end of the day, though, too, like, even within his story alone, man, like he's done some amazing things. Like, a lot of people don't understand that Gary, you know, he's left a legacy here. Not even just with Jabbawockeez, but even the city that he's from, the studios that he used to teach at, you know, like his studios up in the Bay Area, you know. They still have the one for the G fam, and they have kids that are still learning his style of dance from his own students.
Wow, that's
You
dope.
know? And he still has a huge lineage, of dancers that still are inspired and look up to him and still dance like him. It's crazy.
And keep him alive, really.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's dope, man. And we do it
Dope.
here too with Jabbawockeez, like
Right.
Rainen, now I understand that a very inspirational member of your crew passed away recently. Gary, I want you to tell us about him.
Well, Gary was he was like a mentor to all of us in the style that we do in our crew. He's the reason for the style that we have. He's like the Yoda of our crew, pretty much. He's our brothers. He's our brother. We love him very much, very dearly, and we miss him. And we just
And he lives through you guys.
He definitely lives
Every
through us.
performance.
Yeah, of course. And we're just doing this for him. So.
We always put our ones up in the air, not just for God, but for G. That was the reason why we did it. And so
No.
it's always going to be that.
That's crazy, man. And it's hard to move on from a story like that, right? But
All right. No, you know what? I think walking in there, we didn't really care about winning.
oh, okay.
Yeah, man. We walked in there just knowing that we were going to represent Gary.
So win, lose, or draw, you won in your
Yeah,
mind.
because literally Gary had passed away right before we had got into the show. Literally.
For more quality content from Beyond the Cypher with Illskillz, don't forget to press the like and subscribe buttons. Also, feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond the Cypher. Let us know how we're doing in the comment section, and to make sure you don't miss anything from the channel, smash that notification bell. We appreciate the love and support, so peace until the next episode.